Too late cometh the Iceman. The paramedics came and carted Arnold Benavides off in a flash. Life is sometimes like that, you know, just like that last gulp of water as it runs down your throat on a hot summer day in August. It's gone before you know it, life that is. Zip, zoom. 1 minute you're alive, the next minute you're dead as a doornail sticking out of a crooked door. Like Arnold, choked to death by a cheese-stuffed jalapeno. Just like that, snap, gone. That's exactly how Arnold Benavides died, in a flash. Arnold's funeral came 2 days later. A lot of people came to wish him farewell. Mr. Sosa came. Mr. Mendoza came also. Who also came to the funeral? Monica Salazar, the accountant at the main bank downtown. Mrs. Reddy, his oldest customer at 109. Johnny and his wife Lupe. Jose, his cook at the restaurant. Michael and Melinda Cortez. Ramon and Olga Gomez from Banquete. The Richardsons from the south side of the city came also. Even Johnny the Borracho and Freddie Five Fingers showed up to Arnold's funeral. A lot of his friends and family showed up to say goodbye once and for all to the man who served them some of the most delicious Mexican food for over the past 20 years. It was funny in a way. Well, not exactly ha-ha kind of funny, but, well, rather strange in a way kind of funny, I guess. I mean, who would have guessed that Arnold's wife from Mexico would show up to his funeral? Sure, everyone who knew Arnold also knew that he was married and that his wife lived in Mexico somewhere. But of course, that didn't stop Arnold from having Sanchez on the side. That was another thing that everyone of importance who lived in Cananea and knew Arnold also knew about him, his Sanchez. But I guess a lot of men have done that kind of thing, though. Having someone on the sidelines while still being married, like a Sancha, I mean. Anyway, Arnold's wife from Chihuahua, Mexico came to his funeral anyway. Of course, no one at the funeral knew who she was or what she looked like. Everyone at his funeral were either related through family or friends from the restaurant. Most of the women that were at Arnold's funeral were either lady friends or girlfriends. No one would have guessed that his wife would show up to his funeral. But I knew better. As the Catholic priest said the final rites and had the gravediggers lower the silver casket down into the 6-foot drop, I looked over at all of Arnold's girlfriends and began to wonder which one of them was his wife. When the casket thumped down into the grave hole, I had a feeling that some kind of chaos was coming for the restaurant and the people that lived there. The metronome ticked slowly back and forth like two people playing an eternal game of ping pong on my old wooden dresser table in my bedroom. It always reminded me of my father because he was the one who had given it to me in the first place. He said that when my life ever became too complicated and I couldn't understand anything that was going on in it, that the metronome could help me cope and try to make sense out of the mess. Next to it stood a photograph of me and Arnold Benavides standing next to his shiny 1976 Thunderbird. He had prided his Thunderbird as one of his greatest accomplishments, because as he once told me, it was something that he restored, body, engine, and all, on his very own with no help from anyone. Arnold had only been dead for 2 days when things already began to change at the restaurant. The first thing that happened was that the new owner closed the restaurant down for 2 weeks to redo it. Renove? What does it mean? Mr. Sosa asked Mr. Mendoza. It means that the new owners have closed the Chili Relleno down for renovations. The sign says, reopening in 2 weeks. Oh. I overheard their conversation as I walked up behind them quietly. Hello, Pete. Good morning, Mr. Mendoza said to me. Morning. No tacos today, Pete, Mr. Sosa grumped at me. They are closed for renunciations. Renovations. They're redoing the insides of the restaurant, Mr. Mendoza replied. Oh, the new owner, I take it? See, Pete. Or leave it, I guess. Well, Mr. Sosa grumbled angrily. I got to be going. I'll see you guys later. Yes, much later, I take it, Mr. Mendoza replied. Take care, Mr. Mendoza. See you in 2 weeks, I said, walking back to my car. Hey, Pete, Mr. Mendoza cried after me. Wait a minute there. Yes, sir? Well, Pete, I was thinking, how old are you anyway? 30. Why? You're not married or anything, are you? No family of your own yet? No, sir. Why? Well, Pete, I've just been thinking and asking myself the same question over and over again in my head. Why do you come to the restaurant every morning? I don't think I understand where you're coming from, Mr. M. Listen, do you need a ride to work or anything? I'd like to get back into my car. It's too cold out here for me. I guess so. It would sure beat catching the bus all the way downtown. Listen, it's cold out here. Come on, I'll take you to work. I'm headed that way anyway. Muchas gracias, Pete, he said, walking over to the passenger's side of my car. I guess I can answer your question, I said. What question is that? The one about why do I come to the restaurant every morning to eat and talk? Oh, yes, Pete. How silly of me to forget. Yes, now I remember what it was I asked you. I settled behind the steering wheel of my car and tried to explain. Well, Mr. Mendoza, it's like this, I guess. I have no social life and I have nothing else better to do with my time. And that's why I come to eat breakfast at Chili Relleno with you guys every morning. Oh no, that's not exactly what I meant to ask you, Pete. Coming to eat at the restaurant every morning is fine, but it's just that, well, most of us are much older than you, Pete. I get along better with older people, I guess, I replied, starting up the engine of my car. It's just that most young people around your age don't get along well with older people. I mean, when I was young like you, I joined this karaoke dance club one time and... Mr. Mendoza stopped talking and looked over through the passenger's side window as a pink Cadillac pulled up in front of the restaurant. A woman in a black fur coat and tight leopard skin pants got out of the car. She walked up to the restaurant's doors, unlocked it, and disappeared inside. Who's that? Mr. Mendoza asked me. I don't know. I've never seen her before. Well, Pete, I'm sure we'll find out sooner or later when everything's been said and done.